Morning guys, it's a big day for us here on the farm. We're gonna go ahead and butcher our aggressive ram Bucky. It's also gonna be our first sheep harvested off of the farm. A little nervous, not gonna lie, but let's see if we can make it happen. All right guys, so a couple things before we get going. We are going to use a 22 long rifle. This pretty much is our firearm of choice here for all our dispatch on the farm. Pigs and now our first sheep here. So what I'm seeing with a horned animal like Bucky, they're gonna actually have a hard plate kind of on the top of their head. So important that you come in the back and kind of go down toward their jawline with your shot. Now we do have a bucket of alfalfa here. The goal for that is to separate these animals. Obviously we have all our sheep in together. We're gonna put feed out across the pasture, get them separate. That way we have a nice safe shot. Now, as always, YouTube guidelines will not allow us to show the shot. So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna get you up into that point. We're gonna skip ahead forward to the butchering process, to the cleaning process, and we'll talk to you guys on the other side. Here we go. The shot literally is going to be vertical because obviously we want to go down. Well, actually, maybe it is more like that because it should go down through the back of his jaw. Horns come out. There's a little plate and you can feel kind of the ridge. I think the goal is to get right in behind the plate. Did you turn the fence off by chance? No. All right, guys, now the waiting game. Just trying to figure out how we want to place this shot. And as always, got to get the animals a little bit separate here. We had our chance, just didn't want to go for it right away. So we'll take a minute, no rush here. Got to make sure it's done properly. Okay guys, so like I said, I put the shot right here behind his horns. There's a little plate right here and you can feel it with your finger. You come in right behind, down through the jawline. That essentially will stun your animal and drop him, and then obviously you're gonna bleed him out as well. That went 100 times smoother than I thought it was gonna go. I hope that was the right decision.
Yeah, it's more than 135 pounds.
I do want to get a weight on him then. Swing it. All right guys, that was as smooth as it possibly could have went. Very pleased with the results there. That's what you want every time you're going to harvest an animal. You want it to be quick and painless for them. Fortunately, that was much smoother than I thought for the first time doing it. So fortunately, that part's over with. Nobody actually likes the dispatch part of farming. You know, it is definitely the hardest part. Anybody that tells you that there's no emotion tied to this stuff, they're straight up lying to you guys. All right guys, going over to cut this animal now. Really curious to see what the weight was. As we were picking him up, we're like, wow, he almost seems as heavy as some of the pigs that we did. Now they were smaller, but it'll be really interesting to kind of see what he weighed in at. My guess is 140-ish, but let's take a look. All right guys, made fairly quick work of that. Got him split in half. We're gonna go get a weight on him now. Pretty cool. As we were cutting him up, there was actually a whole lot of gas in the stomach, so as we cut into him, you heard it kind of release like a balloon. And that is one thing about sheep. Looks like a huge animal. Once you get them dressed and hung, there's not nearly as much meat on them as you think. So just curious to see what the weight is. 42, so you assume both. 84. 5 hours field to freezer. Really happy with the results today. It's been a busy day, guys, but I'm gonna go ahead now, show you the cuts from this animal as I always would, and then hit on a couple other thoughts from today. Now this isn't everything. We'll start with the most simple here. Ground lamb. I understand this probably isn't the most appropriate term for this, being that Bucky was a 2.5 to 3-year-old animal. Mutton would probably be more appropriate, but regardless, here we are with our ground lamb, ground ram if you want to call it. We were actually frying this stuff up as we were processing. Let me tell you guys, this is fantastic. So got about 15 pounds here. We ended up with 30 pounds of ground total, being that my dad obviously helped us out here today. We gave him his fair share, but 15 pounds of ground, 30 in total. So we move over to our cuts. We got a bunch of lamb chops here, boneless, and I ended up keeping a couple more roasts than I thought I would. This is pretty much a whole leg right here. This is a leg shank, and then here's a couple roasts that I cut out as well. The original plans were to grind everything. We actually cut out the tenderloin. It was only a small little thing, but we cut that out, we fried it up, and man, it was so good. I'm like, I gotta keep some cuts. So kept a couple roasts. I think that'll be really good, but it's hard to pass up chops like this, guys. I mean, look at the coloring on them. As always, we leave a little bit of extra fat on there, but I mean, this is as dark as you can get. 100% grass-fed. We don't feed these animals grain, and we're really happy with our results here today. Then we gotta move over here. Now, what is this? Well, I don't think I've ever heard of lamb ribs. Maybe it's a thing, but this is your lamb ribs. So there was just too much meat on there to throw away. I didn't really want to be bothered with picking it out for grind. So we're going to try something different. We're going to go ahead. We're going to make probably both racks at the same time when the time comes, and we'll let you guys know how lamb ribs are. And last, but certainly not least, we got a bloody mess over here. Got some liver. Can't leave out the liver. We got heart. I don't even know if you guys can see that. And look at this little guy. This is what I'm talking about. Little tenderloin. That'll be a snack for later on. So all in, guys, the hanging weight on this animal was 85 pounds. We didn't get a live weight. I'm not sure how it works with sheep. I don't know kind of the ratios there. My gut tells me probably 100 and we'll call it 30 pounds. He did have a really heavy hide. Bucky, again, was a Texas dull Katahdin cross, so he kind of had like that hair sheep, wool type appearance. That hide was definitely heavy when we pulled it off. Obviously, his head had some weight to it as well. When you're running a hanging weight, you're not getting the head in there. So I'm going to say about 130 pounds. He was a big animal. So it's been a busy day, guys. Got the meat packed away. Next decision, what do we do with the head? My original thought was keep it, try to boil it, you know, have a nice mount. I'm not sure I'm going to get around to doing that. There's obviously, if you guys haven't seen, there's a lot going on around here. I got a fence to put up over here. I think what I'm going to do is actually hang it over by the chickens. It's going to be a little weird, I understand that, but there is going to be a ton of fly pressure on that head. Obviously, the flesh is still on there. With that comes maggots. Those maggots are going to come out of the head. They're going to fall to the ground. Well, that's protein for our chickens. So I think that's the direction I'm going to go. Long ago, when I was a kid, we actually had buffalo on my parents' farm, and we did the same type of thing, hang the skull. You would be surprised how those things clean up. So I'm going to give it a shot again. We're going to see what happens, and it's also going to be extra nutrients for our chickens. So pretty cool. I'll keep you guys updated on that. I'm not going to show you the skull right now because I'm not sure if I'm allowed to, but eventually I'm going to put it on video for you. With that being said, guys, successful day in the books. We got more meat in the freezer. Can't complain about that. And lastly, I'm not going to lie. You know, it is a little bit emotional when you harvest an animal like this. Nobody, well, I'll call you a liar if you claim to enjoy this stuff. I mean, it's part of the process. It's part of farming. It's part of homesteading. But it's not something that you get a whole lot of joy out of taking a life. Now, Bucky was also our first ram here on the farm. He was really part of our first group of sheep. So, of course, you know, it's going to mean a little more. I put a previous video up saying about how it's a tough decision, how these choices need to be made. So as soon as I put him down, my first reaction was, God, I hope this was the right choice. But I think it was. He provided us with some great meat. You know, we tried some already like I talked about. and we're really happy with the results of today. Smooth process as always. Anytime you're harvesting an animal, that's what you want, and that's what we had today. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button to continue following along on our journey. There's going to be a lot going on here in the next couple weeks. You can see it, guys. The weather is getting beautiful. Hank's going crazy barking. But guys, enjoy the rest of your day. Again, thank you for watching.